It is 10:01 a.m. and I had one trade with CMGR. I was also looking at where is it? HMBL for a very long time, but this one is not working out. This one looks like it was literally engineered to take as much money as possible from people who were buying into the spike as well as dip buyers. It just keeps getting sold into, but it did offer a very interesting point right here. I was tempted to buy at 10.8, and this thing was just very strong, kind of weird trading. I just felt, uncomfortable with it, especially because it's a morning spike, not like a morning panic, which is something I feel better trading. I do see a potential trend line break. Maybe this actually might try to reverse eventually, but I don't mind missing it just because of the fact that it's not working with all the other setups. But this was a very interesting point where I could have bought past 10.8 when it looks like it made a top here, then it was trading back and forth, and then it officially broke it. I could have been in at 10.8. It did get as high as 11.46, so there was room for profitability. It didn't continue that much more, and it did break this trend line ultimately, as you can see right here by the wick, and that's when it started the downtrend. I was watching this for like a dip under VWAP, so it has a spike. Dips under VWAP could even be like a bull flag setup, and it just wasn't able to break this 10.5 level, and it continued to downtrend and break the day low. It got under 10 cents as well, and maybe it can try to reverse eventually, but I did stop looking at it, and that was because I was looking at CMGR. And right now it looks like it's 45 by 47. I bought this one because it was also downtrending. It's had these little things before where, it had a run up, it sells off, it has another run up, sells off, and then it had a run up here, and then it sells off. But I thought that was a little premature, and maybe I think it's going to try to turn around and try to uptrend some more. Maybe not, of course, be as high as these two other ones. Maybe it'll only get to the 70s, but I felt like, this was a little too small, and I felt like it was just going to uptrend over a longer period of time. And I did get in. I bought 25,000 shares at this sub penny 44 price point. That was at 9.49. So right here, 9.49 at 44. And I got in especially because at this point it looked like it was going to break 45. So it looked like it was going to be a very aggressive turnaround where it does the turnaround right here. It breaks the trend line, and then it looks like it's going to break 45 and make a move towards VWAP. And it didn't really. I think somebody is calling me. Let me check. All right, I am back. So again, just to go over it again, I was in at 9.49, which was right here. Again, seeing that potential turnaround. It actually took a bit longer for it to turn around, and I did sell half of my position. Actually, no, I sold a portion of my position. It wasn't half. I sold 10,000 shares, and this ended up being, I think it was 43 and a half. I don't think it was 44 at 9.56, which was right here. I'll have to check and see what the exact numbers were because it's a sub penny. Fidelity likes to round numbers up. And this was the case. I did cut half of my position when it was just looking really dry. But actually, I sold right before it started the uptrend, so that was pretty good. That was a big improvement from the other trade I had this week when I wasn't feeling like the setup was looking too nice, and I got rid of the entire position. And then it started to work 2 minutes later. In this case, I only sold a portion, which was nice. And that meant I was able to sell my other portion of the shares on the uptrend here for profit. And again, some of these numbers, this might have been 46 and a half, this might have been 45 and a half, this might have been 45 exactly. I'm going to have to check what the exact numbers are, but I did sell in pieces, and I did do that thing where I sold a portion of my position for a slight loss because it didn't look like it was working. But then when it was working, I did sell that other portion in two pieces, I think at least. So I did sell 5,000 shares at 46, and that was, again, give or take 46 at 9.58. So that was right here. I did sell some around this 46 level. And then at 10 o'clock, I sold more at 46. And the last piece I sold was at the same minute, actually at 10 o'clock, and I sold that at 45. So, yeah, what happened was is that it just uptrended, which was nice, and then it got past 45, and it went from 45 to 46 7, and it just started trading back and forth, and I just probably was too tired of it. After all, I held it through here when it wasn't doing anything, and then I thought, this isn't really that nice. It did get as high as 48 later from this candle, so that was pretty impressive. And there is a massive amount of sellers at the ask, which doesn't make this ideal for it to continue the uptrend, at least not without a lot of buying. So that's the case with this trade. I have no idea how much I made, and I might not even have the right amount of shares according to a $30 risk level, because I was looking at HMBL on this screen and I had this on the other one, so I had less time to calculate how many sides I'm supposed to have. I'll make an update later, but there isn't really anything else that I'm interested in. Although this one's nice because it is uptrending, I just don't really see any patterns that I want to trade at the moment. It is 10:29 a.m. and I had a super speculative trade with EVFM, and this being a listed stock, I took it much more cautiously, and I had way less shares than what I would normally trade on an OTC because I have a smaller $5 risk level. I just like OTCs way more, but I did see a potential setup here. I like how it had this uptrend and then it came back under VWAP, so that's one setup. This could have also been like a dip where it could be the move of a head and shoulder. So we have the shoulder, we have a dip, and then it makes a head, and then that will eventually be something I would like to sell into. It was also starting to follow a trend line, and the more setups there are, just to me, the more setups that exist that could play off at the same time, the higher chance I think the setup can be. And I think this thing can try to make a move towards the highs later, but I do notice it does feel like there is a big short seller who just wants to knock the price down and just really, make it look ugly. And I'm pretty sure the short seller is pretty scared of it breaking I'd say the 140s and definitely the high, which is the 150. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I want to see what this can do over a longer period of time, whether it works or not. But I did buy 40 shares and I was trading to, again, a $5 risk level. I thought worst case scenario, huge red candle. This thing just rug pulls and I'll be out, I believe, at 120. And that was at 10:18, 134. So right here at 10:18 is when I got in, and it looked like it was starting to transition from the 133s to breaking the 134s, and it did uptrend. As you can see, I got in this candle, and we did have a tick at 10:35, not 10:35, 135. I mean, I'm not used to trading stocks priced this high, and it did get as high as 137, but this is when we had like the first red strike where it even broke the trend line. Just felt like some short seller just like threw a whole bunch of shares and dumped it to try to make it look ugly and scary or whatever. But I did eventually get out because I didn't like that. At 10:23 I got out right here at 134.16, so I barely made a profit, and it did continue to downtrend more, but now this could be like a higher low off of this level, so I could even try to move the trend line right around right here perhaps, and then that could be something where somebody could go long again and then probably break the trade if it breaks under the trend line. So that could also be a thing because I feel like the natural momentum of this stock is on the upside, and it's just like some short sellers who are trying to push the price down aggressively. This is pretty big actually. Yeah, I'll make an update as to what this one does ultimately, but it is looking like it's trying to do like a mega breakout over this 140 level, or at least it's getting there, because worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, but I'm in at the 134 price point, so I would still be profitable if it gets to the 140s and fails to break past it. But again, I took it way too cautiously because it's a listed stock and everything, but I'll make an update as to what this one does later. This is a pretty interesting thing to look at, and yeah, I'll make an update later. Okay, it is 2:18 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be up on the day exactly $1, which kind of feels underwhelming, to feel like, wow, I'm putting in so much effort and I only made one freaking dollar. But I think the same trades that I took today is something that I can trade with much larger size, and then with more practice and better, I guess, experience, I can be able to be much more profitable. But I did have a few good trades, and CMGR was a nice one, and I don't feel bad that I did cut about half my position back at when was it at, yeah, this level right here at 956 before it started the uptrend right here. And this one did work out for what it was. It did downtrend more and it kind of dried up. There was no more volume. There was nothing I wanted to trade here. There was nothing that I wanted to trade here. HNBL, I'm glad I never tried to trade this one. It just felt like there were too many people selling their shares. And it just looks like something that just sucked in a bunch of dip buyers and breakout buyers in the morning. Although this, again, break past 10.8 was pretty impressive for what that was. EVFM did eventually offer that thing that I was talking about, and I'm really happy it happened. And as you can see here, this was a max volume right here. I can only imagine this just wiped out some idiot short seller that was trying to short this thing on an uptrend, not waiting for at least the back end of the move. And yeah, this thing broke the level of 140. I was watching it here. I didn't pull the trigger anymore, and maybe I should have, but you know, hindsight is 2020. I just wanted to watch it, and I feel like next time I see something like this, I can be a part of it. And I did try the first time. I did have one more trade, and that was at right at 1054. I did buy 40 shares at 140, so 1054 is right here. And what ultimately happened was that it just kept happening where it looks like some short seller would just like wipe out the people at the bid with like 300,000 shares, and then it got to the point when it was right here and it broke past the 140 into the 141s for the first time since this run up here, and immediately there was 1 million shares that kind of went against it. In fact, when I placed my order, I tried to get in at 140 and then I already saw it at 141, and then I thought, oh, that's too bad, I missed it. And then I got filled and I thought, that's not really that good. And I did hold on to the setup thinking that it could try to follow this trend line, but with some slippage as well. And I figured that if I'm going to see it at 136, I'm going to cut the trade because that's going to be something below the trend line and also going to be against this if I were to have adjusted the trend line and then base it off of here too. And that is what eventually happened. I did get out at 11:05, which was a bit later right here when it was at 136. And yeah, I just went a little more, you know, towards the bottom. It did get to VWAP. It never broke under VWAP. And the price action was always looking bullish. When there wasn't somebody short selling, or at least it felt like somebody was short selling. I'm sure, you know, it might be just people selling. It would just start uptrending and there would be a lot of price action, a lot of positivity, and then it eventually did break the level, and this was pretty impressive. And even though I wasn't a part of it, at least I think I was on the right track, and next time I can be a part of something like that, which would be super profitable. That's pretty much it for what I have today. Nothing too bad. I did a pretty good job. It's just kind of underwhelming that it was $1. It could have, you know, equaled something else, just not $1. But I'm sure things could also be a lot worse. I'm not one of them idiot short sellers who was a part of this. And yeah, that's all I have for today right here. I don't see anything that I want to consider trading anymore for the rest of the day, and there isn't any OTC that's up a lot on the day either. So I don't see any setups, and yeah, I'm just gonna call it off quick and early here.